Welcome to the Culinary Treasure Network. I'm Steven Shomler, your host. Delighted you're here. Today finds us on the Oregon coast. I've got a really phenomenal story for you. If you want to see all of my Oregon coast content, be it culinary podcasts, craft beer podcasts, travel articles, food articles, I invite you to go to adventuresontheoregoncoast.com, www.adventuresontheoregoncoast.com. I have links to all that different content wherever it appears in the Culinary Treasure Network. But today, beautiful downtown Nehalem, Oregon. It never rains here. This part of the Oregon coast never rains in Nehalem. I'm at Riverside Fish and Chips with Gordy and Sharon. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
I am so excited to be here. I love fish and chips. I love good fish and chips, but I'm a little picky about them. And I've been to many places. People send me, oh, they have great fish and chips. And I leave and go, no, they don't. No, they don't. And last time I was here, I've been coming out the Oregon coast. My goal for 2021 is to come out a number of times. And last time I was here, I just finished up doing a craft beer podcast with Trevor at DeGard Brewing. And we drank a lot of beer, and I was hungry, and I didn't really eat much breakfast. And I thought, I'm going to go get those fish and chips for the finally. I'm going to try. So I parked right here on a 101 downtown Nehalem. And there's this cool-looking, antique building, cool-looking building. And I walk around, and there's these fish on the path, on the ground, painted, on this wooden little boardwalk and little narrow, cool alley. And I like, what the heck? And I've heard there's a food truck back here, but I don't know what to expect. And I walk back, and it's kind of like a movie where the scene opens up and it was a beautiful sunny day, and there's this cool food truck. And, I started out my journey writing about Portland food carts. So food trucks and food carts are near and dear to my heart. And there's sun, and there's a river, and there's fish and chips. And I'm like, oh, I so hope the food is going to be as good as this beautiful setting. And I looked behind me, and there's a covered area, up above. So when the few days, once or twice a year it rains here, people can still eat. And I had your fish and chips, and I was blown away. Honestly, so far to date, and I've eaten a lot of them, best fish and chips I've had on the Oregon coast. Hats off to you guys.
Thank you so much.
It is. I'm a professional. I can eat 2 or 3 entrees at one sitting. I'm trained and I'm committed. No, but really, sincerely, and we'll talk about your food toward the end of the podcast. I want to get your story out to the world, but the more I ate it, the more I realized this stuff is made from scratch. This stuff is made here. That I found this and I found that, and I go, okay, so they're not just getting bags from Cisco and dumping it in fryers and shoving it out. This is a whole different experience. And so when I got the chance to record a podcast with you guys, I jumped on it. All right. So Gordy, we'll start with you. Just fun question I ask everybody on my podcast. It's Gordy Louie, right?
Correct.
Is it Gordy or Gordon officially?
Officially it's Gordon.
But you like Gordy?
Well, either way.
Okay, all right. Well, I like Steven, not Steve. I hate that guy Steve. Don't call me Steve. There's a story there. We won't ever tell it. Okay, so where were you born, Gordy?
I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah.
And where'd you go to high school?
I went to Judge Memorial.
And what's the mascot there?
The mascot is the Judge Bulldog.
Judge Bulldogs. Okay, and you mainly lived in Salt Lake City, and the story will come up, but you spent 40 years on the railroad.
40, yes.
Wow, working the railroad. That sounds kind of romantic and amazing.
It was romantic at first.
And then we'll circle back how this happens, but in 2014, you moved to Nehalem for a fun life and fun adventure. Sharon, where were you born?
I was also born in Salt Lake City.
And where'd you go to high school?
My father moved to Pocatello, Idaho, brought the family up there, and that's where I went to school and went to Highland High School.
What's the mascot there?
It would be Rams.
The Rams, okay. So as I understand the story, when did you guys get married, roughly?
1998.
1998. Okay, so a few years before 1998. I'll get the story close to right. We don't need to be exact. That's okay. Tell me if I have it right, Gordy.
You'll have to ask her.
Oh, okay.
She's the fact checker.
So you were doing the Salt Lake City to Pocatello run on the trains, right?
Correct.
And you ended up staying at a hotel, Sharon, that you were managing.
Yes.
And you guys got to know each other just a little bit, just a smidgen, and then your route got switched, and you're Salt Lake City to Elko, Nevada.
Correct.
There's not much there in Elko. I don't know if you're aware of that.
There's a few Basque places that are delicious.
Okay. Like Basque from Spain?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. When I was growing up, I grew up middle of nowhere, Southern California, 260 acres, 9 miles of dirt road to get there. And we had Basque sheep herders that would come through our property every year. It was fascinating.
Wow.
It was back in the day when you could do that. I don't think they still do it now, but yeah, it was. I have a little bit of experience, and I want to get myself to Spain, to the Basque Country. I would love to do that. So your route got switched though to Elko, and for 3 years, no Sharon. But then it got switched back. You're back in the hotel, and there's Sharon. And she had fallen in love with you, I'm sure, years earlier, and she was so thrilled. Gordy's back. but you did stay at a hotel, and you were managing the hotel, right, Sharon?
Yes.
And you kind of got to know each other, and you guys started dating. What was it about Gordy? I mean, I understand why Gordy. I mean, he must be in sales because he way outsold himself when he landed you. But what sparked your interest about Gordy? What made your heart sing?
Well, my first thoughts about Gordy is that he's so caring and kind and thoughtful, but he's also fun. He's always thinking of what the next thing that we're going to do to entertain ourselves or entertain other people would be.
Okay, and you guys are now we're telling the story how you ended up here running this incredible fish and chip store. So as I understand it, you guys are living in Salt Lake City, and you decide you need to head off on an adventure. Am I right?
Correct.
So where'd you guys go?
Well, after Gordy retired and I quit my job, we loaded up the pickup truck and we drove north. We just kept going north, further and further and further, stopping in all the little towns and villages, seeing if anything caught our eyes that would be something we'd want to do. And we ended up keep going north, clear up to Jasper.
All the way into Canada.
All the way up through Canada. And we loved it, but nothing really hit us. So we turned around and started heading back south towards Vancouver.
Vancouver, Canada.
Canada.
Because there's Vancouver, Washington,
yes.
too.
So it was Vancouver, BC, and kept working our way down. We took I-5, went through the Seattle area, headed back over to the Washington coast.
Went through Shelton, through Aberdeen?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we kept going south, stopping in all the little areas. Ended up in Nehalem, Oregon.
Okay, so you came down through the Washington coast. You went through Long Beach Peninsula.
Correct.
Came down through that way.
Astoria, Cannon Beach.
Crossed the bridge, came into Oregon, went to Astoria,
Yep.
Cannon Beach. Okay, so you're coming down and you go through Oswald West State Park.
Correct.
And when I was young and first moved to Oregon, I was dumb and I always wanted to know where Oswald East State Park is. I didn't realize it was the guy's name, but I love that state park. Beautiful walk there. That 1 mile walk. It's the best 1 mile walk in Oregon. It's just phenomenal. Okay, and you come down through Manzanita, and then the road bends a little bit, and you come into Nehalem. Okay, keep going.
Correct. And as you're leaving Nehalem, you've got the Nehalem River along the side. We stopped because we saw some houseboats. And we thought, that's interesting, because we had a houseboat that we would go stay on at the Lake Powell down in southern Utah and Arizona. So we took a look at those houseboats, and then we thought we'd walk back into Nehalem. It was a long walk, about a block and a half. And we saw a building that was vacant, and we started inquiring about it. We asked the lady next door that owned the business next door, and she says, I can get you in touch with the realtor, and she can get you in. So we made a phone call. Within an hour, we were in the building, checking it out. Didn't know what we were going to do with it, but we thought, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy this building and move to Nehalem, Oregon.
Okay, now, a fun part of the story, Gordy, is I've heard, as I understand, is your dad. I'm so sorry if you lost. Your dad recently passed away, William Wing Louie.
Correct.
And he was very much in architecture, a very prominent architect in Salt Lake City. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And so you had him as a resource. So you brought him out to look at this building. And what was his first advice?
He told us to tear it down.
And he said, well, we're not going to do that. But I bet he was helpful.
No. After that, he followed all our instructions, and he was a great resource.
What a joy to get to have your dad involved. I get to enjoy working with my son on some of his projects. He does. He's full-time self-employed. He does Strong Opinion Sports. He has a YouTube channel, 163,000 subscribers, and I've helped him build his brand. And it's so much fun. I'm sure your dad just got a lot of joy out of working with the two of you.
At his funeral, someone made a comment that he lived vicariously through Gordy looking at the pictures of the fish and remembering the fish and chips that he would eat here.
And he loved the Oregon coast. Liked it.
That's awesome. Who doesn't? Oh, man. And just even though he's not around for me to thank, I at least want to thank you. Your dad was in the U.S. military in World War II. And, his family emigrated from China before he was born. As I understand, he was born in Ogden, Utah. And I'm so grateful for his service. My grandfather was in World War II on the battleship Tennessee, and I really think that generation saved the world. It's in all sincerity, and I really am grateful for that. So I on your dad's behalf, thank you, Gordy, for his service. Touches my heart. Okay, so you're going to put in a building, and now the building right now, although, I've got, Gordy, there's a little bit of church in your background, right?
The Catholic Church.
Catholic
yes.
Church, okay. Yeah. Sharon, any church in your background?
No.
Oh, well, you may have heard this phrase. There's a little bit of church in my background, and there's a phrase they say in lots of different church tribes, and I've improved it. So we'll get to that, my improvement for this phrase. But for now, we'll talk what the building is currently. Then we'll get to my phrase. But you guys have a really cool antique store in this building. How did that come about?
Well, we bought the building, and it had been vacant for 5 years, so there was a lot of deferred maintenance that needed to be done. And we had a contractor who became a good friend of ours that was helping us. And he kept telling us, you should open an antique store. You should open an antique store.
And you did.
We did.
Okay. And that's why there's all these cool antiques. I almost am not happy because there's cool old comic books in there. And I loved comic books growing up, and I've thumbed through, and I'm not going to admit whether I've made some purchases. Now, I have to tell you, I work with different groups of people. One of the groups of people I work with that's interesting and a little cantankerous is craft beer people. Although I love them. Antique people can be that similar kind of cantankerous and interesting and pretty picky. But you guys love antique people, don't you?
We do. We do. They're great. And they always have a story.
They do, and they love their stuff. And it's it's fun when you drive through 101 through Nehalem. Just look for this really cool looking building, and you can take the sneaky route back through and get to the fish and chips. That's what we're here to talk about, is the incredible fish and chips and the food truck back here, hidden back here right on the river. So romantic setting. But there's this really amazing building that right now has an antique store. Now, Gordy, you ready for my crazy story?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the plan. Here's the word, the phrase, and here's how I've improved it. God loves you and has a plan for your life. Have you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the way I've improved is God loves you and I have a plan for your life. I just think I would love to sit here on this outside deck with a beer in my hand and then have your fish and chips, a beer on draft. You do have beer. I had, great beer. I had some Fort George when I was here in a can. Phenomenal. Great choice. Love me some Fort George. But I think, as much as I love the antiques and the comic books, they call to me and take my money. So I think instead I'll give my money. You just put in a tap room here. That's my recommendation. If it ever happens, I'll be happy than a pig in mud. And so people, if you're an antique person, hear this podcast, you better get here quick and just check to make sure that maybe, my crazy dreams have come true. I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so that was 2000 years. What year did you open up the antique store? 2014.
Yes.
And then you cleared out the backyard, and there was probably what was it like? The mess. It's beautiful right now. There's these picnic tables, and I'm looking out at red umbrellas and the food truck to the side, and I see the beautiful river, and then on the other side of the river, these green trees. It's incredible. What did it look like before you cleaned it all up?
Burned barrels, junky cars, rebarb. We had to tear it all up.
So you guys thought, tell me if I understand, you thought, well, we'll just put a food truck back there and sell food.
Well, that's the simple side of it, yeah.
We recognized the beauty back there and knew that people would love it.
Yeah, because they can sit in the when it's sunny, they can sit out in the picnic area. The 1 or 2 days a year that it rains here on the Oregon coast, they can sit in the covered area we're sitting in right now.
Correct.
I think it was a brilliant idea. And a friend of mine, someone I care about, who I think is a kind of a culinary legend, in the Oregon Coast area, Kendra Hall.
Yes, we love Kendra.
Kendra had a little hand in helping you find the first truck you had.
Yes.
She found that where in Brooklyn, the Portland neighborhood of Brooklyn. People don't even know that, some people don't. And she helped you find it, and then you drug it back here.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, Kendra's got quite a story. You know, she worked at Schooners back in the day when she first moved here. I think she moved to Oregon Coast about 132 years ago. No, Kendra, don't get after me. She's done a lot of cool things like that. And the fun projects she's doing now, I'll just give her a plug because I love her, even though she's cantankerous. I don't know if you know that about her.
Not at all.
But Kendra's Oregon Coast is her new website, kendrasoregoncoast.com, and she writes little articles about things she loves. I told her she needs to get out here and write about these fish and chips. If I can write about them, she should write. I want everybody to come here and write about them. I'm sending all the food writers I can here. I bugged someone the other day that writes about, you need to go write about this place. Okay, so that brings us to why fish and chips. So you guys, before you moved to Nehalem and came out here, you guys did a lot of traveling. And there was two things that you would have fun, depending where in the world you're at, that you would find and enjoy. What were those two different dishes?
Well, one of them was fish and chips, and the other one was Chinese dim sum.
Chinese dim sum. I love those two things, you know, because when I travel, I look for local wine. My list is a little longer than yours, but I look for local wine. I look for local spirits, local donuts, or as close as I can find to donuts, local craft breweries. And then the other fun one is local dive bars. And I've learned that when you travel internationally, dive bars doesn't translate well. When I was in Greece, I asked our host, is there a dive bar around here? And she goes, you mean that you swim under into? And I had to explain, no, like it's a place where the locals go. They've got good food and good beer, but it's dirty, it's smelly, it's old, and the tables and chairs, maybe old. She says, we have one. Oh, and it's great, but nobody goes there. Are you sure you want to go? I said, I want to go. And it was a fantastic dive bar, Bar Omen, in Goma Nesa, Greece, about an hour north of Thessaloniki. If you ever get to Greece, I'm going to send you to an hour north. The Kilkis region is phenomenal. So, Gordy, you've loved fish and chips for a long time. Tell me about the first time you had fish and chips that you remember.
Well, it was when I was a teenager. I won an award in Salt Lake for oratory. My father took me to a fish and chips place in Salt Lake, which I can't even remember the name, but it started then.
And you loved it.
I loved it.
And what are some of the fun countries, Sharon, that you guys have had really good fish and chips in?
Well, countries, of course, New Zealand and Australia, England. We're always searching for the best.
Well, I think I think your search ended right here in Nehalem. I mean, that's
well, it's a high bar to compare it against. So,
and so now who really? Because when you're going to open a food truck, it's like you're going to buy the building, then later, okay, we're going to put antiques in it. We're going to get a food truck, but now what food are we going to cook? So, Gordy, was it you that kind of was championing the cause? Let's do fish and chips.
Well, we went through a lot of food subjects, and it seems like there was no good fish and chips on the Oregon coast. There was average, but nothing that was really above the bar.
Now, those are strong words, but just so the people that are fans of their favorite fish and chip place in the Oregon coast, I'll give some help them. You've had fish and chips in New Zealand, Australia, England. You've had world-class fish and chips. So it could be your exposure is much broader than maybe other people that have only had fish and chips in the Oregon coast. That being said, I have to agree with you. I've eaten fish and chips at a lot of places, and these are the best fish and chips I've had on the Oregon coast. And believe me, I would love to find better because I love fish and chips. But most places there's some places that are good. Most places aren't even on par. In fact, the only other place I'll mention where I love the fish and chips is Pelican in Pacific City, right there on the water. I love their fish and chips; they're absolutely fantastic.
And the view's beautiful there.
And I like the fish and chips at Sand Dollar. It's kind of a dive bar in Rockaway. I like their fish and chips. But there's lots of places I've been sent to in the Oregon coast, and I'm like you, Gordy. I'm like, why did they send me here? I mean, I know they say they love them, but come on now. I'm a professional. This don't pass muster. Speaking of the Oregon coast, it rains a lot here. I joke, but it really does. People don't understand. They come to Portland in August and they think it's great, and then they don't realize it starts raining in September and it stops, on the 6th of July. You'd lived in different parts of the world. Including Seattle before you moved here. Before
Correct.
Your time with Gordy, had a different journey before you and Gordy were together. Yep. So you weren't as shocked by the rain.
No, I knew what to expect.
Gordy, what did you think when you moved here? There's a lot of rain, isn't there?
There's a lot of rain.
Someone was telling me I should talk to me about moving somewhere sunny. And I'm like, I think if I move somewhere sunny all the time, I get depressed because I actually like it when it rains. I'd have reverse of seasonal affective disorder.
It's not green if it's not rainy.
That's right. And so you guys have been here what?
8 years.
8 years. Does Nehalem feel like home?
Oh, yeah.
We love it here.
You guys have made a lot of friends here, and this is your
Yes.
community.
The people are great.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Can't say any more.
Yep. So before we talk about the menu, the first food truck that Kendra helped you get, you just ran that poor thing into the ground, but not at first. At first, it was a little bit slow. At first, tell me about when you first opened.
Well, we opened and we didn't know how much business we would see. It was off of the main drag. You had to see our sign, walk down a little cool boardwalk to get there, and come back to the food cart. I think the first day we were open, we served 10 meals, which thrilled me because I didn't know what we would see. And then word of mouth started spreading, and our business has just been growing phenomenally.
And in fact, the first contraption you got, the first food truck, it was too small for your business. So
Yes.
Early 2021, earlier this year, you found another bigger food truck. This one's a trailer, no engine, no steering wheel. And where did you find that one?
In Spokane,
So you went over there and...
we did. We drove up. Not sure if it was the right cart or not, but we needed one desperately. Decided to go ahead and buy it, and we pulled it home behind the pickup.
You drug it back to
That
Nehalem.
same pickup that we went searching for Nehalem brought our new food cart home.
Wow, that's such a great title. If we were to write a story about your journey, Searching for Nehalem, the place that you didn't know you were searching for. I love that. That's
Exactly.
great. Oh, I want to read that article. That's good. I may have to write it. Searching for Nehalem. And so you brought you retrofitted that one, and now you have a newer and better food cart for what you do.
Yes. Before we purchased the new food cart, at times we were so busy that people would have an hour-long wait commonly. Sometimes it was even longer. And now the food cart's larger. We're able to put out more food, and we're helping feed the population in a whole lot less time.
That is fantastic. And it's just such a pretty setting. You know, I don't like to wait too long for my food, but I would wait a half hour, 40 minutes for your food. A, it's worth it. And B, it's just such a pretty view. Right now, as we're here, we're in the outside cover deck, and it is raining, and it's still beautiful. The first time I was here, it was just a warm, beautiful, sunny day. It just really is just a great place to sit, enjoy your beer or soda, wait for your food to come out.
Exactly.
All right, so you guys decided on fish and chips, and let's just talk through some of the fun things about the menu. So your fish and chips is Alaskan cod.
Yes.
And I know you say that you make everything here, but not lots of people say that. Not everybody believes it. So I'm going to walk through some of what you make here. So you make your own beer batter.
Yes.
And you take the cod, you batter it right here. It gets dipped. It goes in the fryer right here.
Right there.
It's not a pre-frozen, pre-battered thing that you
Nope.
got at Costco.
Not at all.
Okay. And it is so good. And where do you buy the tartar sauce from?
We make it right here.
That tartar sauce that's the frustrating thing for me about this place. It's not just that all the components are amazing. Like coleslaw, whatever, fine, coleslaw. They give it to you. You know, who really wants coleslaw, really? But even the coleslaw is amazing. But let's go back to the tartar sauce. That tartar sauce is on point. It is perfect. I am picky about tartar sauce. I had fish and chips the other day, just recently, won't say where, and the fish and chips were small, they were greasy, they weren't tasty, and the tartar sauce got an F. It's like, come on, people. So the fish and chips are perfect. They're beautiful. They're the right size. They're yummy. I'm making myself very hungry. And then the tartar sauce is perfect. Now, the French fries. Now, some of my listeners know this, some of them don't. I really like salt on French fries. Like, I will salt every French fry I get. And probably my favorite thing to do, not sure my wife likes it, but, if I get McDonald's French fries, I'll admit once in a while, sometimes you need a double cheeseburger and some McDonald's fries. And I like to put salt on those fries. And that's it's probably not the best for my health. And, I try to eat vegan a lot when I'm at home to make up for my indiscretions when I'm on the road. But your fries were the first fries that I can remember that I did not salt them. You put some magic seasoning on them, don't you?
We make our own seasoning. And that seasoning not only is on the fries, but it's a secret ingredient in a lot of our items that we serve.
All right, now I got to tell you, a friend of mine, I did a podcast with him. He has a Cajun life. Used to be a food cart, and he's grown into a big business selling his seasoning salt. You can go to the podcast. I'll put a link below. You can hear his story. I just love him. He's phenomenal, and he sells seasoning salt. And so I've had 2 seasoning salts recently in the past year. I was in Bozeman, Montana at Land of Magic Steakhouse. It's just outside of Bozeman. A couple there run this amazing steakhouse. Their podcast isn't out yet, but it will be soon. Probably the next 5 or 6 they'll be out. And they have this, she gave me a jar of this seasoning salt they put on the steaks, and I've been coveting it, and it's almost gone. I got to go back to Bozeman this fall just to get more of the seasoning salt. I wish they would sell it. I would give them $8, $10 for a little tube of it. Same thing for I would give you $8 or $10 for a jar of your magical seasoning salt, because that stuff is amazingly good.
We'll have to pursue that.
Yeah, I will put you in touch. You got to talk to a Cajun Life, and they will. I'm sure they would give you the inside scoop. It is just phenomenal. Okay, and the coleslaw. That's when I knew. When I was eating the coleslaw, first I liked the coleslaw, which is like, who likes coleslaw? Come on now, just vegans. No offense to vegans, but that's all they get is coleslaw. But then I found some craisins, some dried cranberries in the coleslaw, and I went, wait a minute. They made this coleslaw right here. Mm-hmm. And
we do. We have a prep kitchen that we shred all of the vegetables. We make the sauce, the dressing for the coleslaw, and it's a closely guarded secret.
Okay, well, I don't need the secret recipe. I just want to be able to, you start putting it in jars. Chris Fontenot at Cajun Life, it looks like Fontenot, but those Cajuns, they spell things different, say things different, bless their hearts. Chris Fontenot, he's the one to get in touch with, because he is the seasoning salt king, and I would love to get me some Riverside Fish and Chips seasoning salt. Same thing, I want some Land of Magic Steakhouse seasoning salt. I'll take both. Okay. You use a very special ketchup. What do you tell us about that?
Portland ketchup's the only way to go.
Now, I need to get them on the podcast because we have Portland ketchup, the one we use in our shelf at home, in the fridge, in the shelf. It's Portland ketchup. They make phenomenal, really good, basically, some people may think we're nuts right now, but artisan ketchup, really.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, I was at a place, she'll be unnamed, that did fish and chips, and they had bad ketchup. And I was like, I literally at that moment thought, I wish they had Portland ketchup. So when I got here and saw Portland ketchup on the menu, I kind of did a double take because, it's not, you can get cheaper ketchup. You're aware of this, right?
Exactly. We don't go cheap on anything we do here.
And then you also sell bottles of Portland ketchup for people to buy and take home.
Yep.
Portland ketchup needs to send you guys a commission or something.
We sell a lot of Portland ketchup.
Well, and for good reason. And it was just so refreshing to me. It's like it was the fish was amazing. The French fries are fantastic and perfectly seasoned. Didn't need salt. The coleslaw was great and obviously homemade. The tartar sauce was obviously made here and fantastic. And then you had really good ketchup. I was just kind of blown away. And then I got a Fort George.
Pale ale.
Yeah, just so good. I just, was it?
City of Dreams.
City of Dreams, exactly. Yes, I almost said Street of Dreams, but that's a different deal. Their City of Dreams, it was just perfect. Now I can wax talking about it. I'll put a link to the article I wrote with lots of beautiful photos. I put This is Culinary Treasure article that I wrote, which kind of I got to get there and find out that story. But you have some other things on the menu.
We do. We have fish tacos.
Now fish tacos, people are picky about those. Are they any good?
You have got to try them.
I don't think I ever will because I so much love the fish and chips. I'd feel like I'm cheating on the fish and chips with the fish tacos. I can't do that.
It's the exact same fish, so it's beer battered. So it's this light, crispy, almost tempura type batter on the fish in a corn tortilla on a bed of shredded cabbage. Then we make an aioli here. It's a garlic, cilantro, lime aioli.
Oh, I think
that we
had
put
me
on
at
top,
garlic. I love garlic.
And we pickle red onions. Those go on there, and then cilantro.
Okay, I'm kind of blown away. You may have actually tempted me away from the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life. Tell us one more time what's on these fish and chips, because I just kind of got a hard time.
On the fish tacos?
Yeah, the fish tacos.
Okay, so we've got the beer battered cod.
Yep.
That is the exact same fish that we serve on the fish and chips. We have a corn tortilla with shredded cabbage that we set the beautiful piece of fish on top of. We spread that with a garlic, cilantro, lime aioli. Then our pickled red onions that we do in-house, we put those on top with a spattering of cilantro.
Wow.
You can have both.
I suppose yes, I am a professional. I suppose I could.
I heard somewhere that you can eat 3 entrees in one seating.
I can, yes, exactly. Yeah, those sound phenomenal. And, for the younger kids, I bet it's good for the gram. And, Gordy, you have a big Instagram following, right? You're big on Instagram? I'm teasing him. He's not. No. Okay, and then what's something else on the menu?
We have grilled cheese sandwiches.
I love me a good grilled cheese. It's classic. It's phenomenal. But the question is, do you use the right cheese? There's a cheese factory around here somewhere.
We have to use Tillamook cheddar cheese. We're in Tillamook County.
You are.
Yes.
And that is, I bet that I would eat just for, that'd be like my appetizer or my dessert would be the cheese sandwich, because I do love a cheese sandwich, a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yes, they're excellent.
Oh, you guys are just making, everybody is so hungry. And then speaking of dessert, at the front of the building is Buttercup.
Yes.
And they have some of the craziest ice cream flavors. They're always different. Every month it's different seasonal flavors. But last time I was here, when I left, I went and got myself a scoop of ice cream there. And that ice cream is really good.
She does an exceptional job.
So people that want dessert can go get some ice cream over there. Mm-hmm. So, Gordy, do you eat like 3 or 4 helpings of fish or chips a day? How does it work for you?
Well, you can't eat too much or you get tired of them, of course. But
I don't think I'll believe that. If I lived in Nehalem, I think I'd be here 2-3 times a week. and I've heard people.
We do.
A friend of mine, Nan Devlin, does a lot of work to help promote the Tillamook area, Tillamook coast, and she loves you guys. I had an off-the-record conversation. She's got to be careful because she's really prominent what she loves or not. Maybe I shouldn't say, but she loves you guys. Your stuff is amazing.
Yeah, Nan's a great customer.
Bill was here last night, her husband, picking up dinner.
Oh, well, and Nan is phenomenal. Love what she does for Tillamook. And just a shout out to them. Go check out, visit Tillamook, Tillamook Coast. They do a great job. They really promote a lot of awesome stuff. So talk to me about the red fish, the logo there. How'd that come about?
That was from my father.
He designed that.
He designed the red fish and chips. Designed the sign in front. Signed it. Besides being an architect, of course, he's an artist. Yeah.
I bet that brought him no end of joy to design the logo for your business.
Well, it's just one of many. But yeah, he loves it.
He loves it. When we had T-shirts printed, he wanted the first one off the press.
Now, do you guys have T-shirts now?
We just sold our last one, so the order hasn't come in yet.
You dirty dog, because I would buy one.
I'll send you one.
I would wear that with pride. I'm picky about what shirts I wear. Normally I'd like people to pay me, to use my brand to promote theirs, but I will wear your shirt with pride for sure. But your dad signed the sign out there?
He signed the sign out front.
Oh, I'm going to go take a picture of that. I took a bunch of pictures last time I was here, but I'm going to get a picture of that. That's very precious. I just think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's nice when we look at the sign out there, or even when I look at the logo, it always makes me remember Will and what a great person he was.
Yeah, what a lot of joy. I'm sure, Gordy, you brought him a lot of joy.
Well, he has 7 kids.
Well, I'm sure you were his favorite. I mean, of all of your siblings that I've met, you're my favorite. Well, guys, it's just been a delight to have you on the podcast. I wish you all the best. And just so we're clear, I'm emotionally available for you to yard out the antique store and put in Riverside Tap Room or whatever fun name you come up with. I'm emotionally available for that. That would work for me.
That would be a good future. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for putting up with my nonsense. It's been a delight to have you on the podcast. Really blown away by how good the fish and chips are when I was here, and I love your guys' story. And I'm so glad that you found a home on the Oregon coast and a home in Nehalem. And Gordy, he can't wear sandals because moss now grows between his toes. Because that's how much he's adapted.
Right. He's in the process of getting webbed.
Webbed, yes, exactly. All right, guys. Well, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank
Cheers.
you.